Welcome to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. This is not your typical financial radio show. As a licensed CPA, insurance agent, and investment advisory representative, Chris coaches his clients on a holistic view of financial well-being with an objective of providing a complete financial strategy to fund life's goals. Chris is here to guide you down the path to the financial serenity you deserve. Now, here's Chris Cooper.
All right, good morning. We have an exciting show. We are still in the month of March. It is Women's History Month, and we've had some really exciting guests in the month of March. And in studio, we're kind of in studio virtually with me today, we've got Jessica Nieminski out of Chicago. Jessica, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Chris. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Now, well, we have a lot of very common things in our approach to helping people, and when we get a chance to talk, it's always fun. So I wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to kind of join us in the environment here and share a little bit about what we do to help people, and especially focus in a lot of things that you think about and that's affected you is specifically related to women in finance. So talk a little bit about what got you into this business and a little bit about how you specifically help people in this area.
Yeah, I got into this business actually inspired by my dad. He was an advisor. So in my 20s, I had been watching the industry working there, and I thought, well, this sounds great. At the time, I kind of looked around and didn't think I fit, actually, and I thought I was in the wrong place. There weren't a lot of women.
Well, there's not a lot of women in the business.
Definitely not at that time. This was over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So there was or about 20 years ago. There was not a lot of women in the space, let alone the independent space where I was. So I thought I was in the wrong place, but I've come to learn I'm exactly where I should be.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I love the conversations we get to have, and I think you're doing some really unique things. And it's really inspired by your personal journey. So if you don't mind, share a little bit about your personal journey and what made you really want to focus on helping women understand this financial side, because it's tough. It's not always easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually left the space, stayed at home for some years with my kids, and then I went through a divorce. And through going through that process, I ended up facing a lot of financial and life uncertainty myself because I really just didn't know what was next. I just knew I had to figure it out and pretty
Yeah.
fast. So knowing the importance of, every financial detail, uh, it just kind of made me realize it was exactly where I needed to be. And it was going to become my new focus, passion, and I just kind of never looked back.
Well, and it's interesting if you think about your family background too, and you had some experience in the financial, background and in the financial industry in the past, and it was still a very stressful time frame where you had a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of folks out there that don't have that background at all, and men, women, same, very uncertain. And when you're going through those emotional issues, you had a little bit of that understanding from that financial perspective in your back pocket. Not everyone does.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it was a lot because I think most people, I think the assumption is that people going through the divorce, they want to be getting a divorce, but just because you're getting a divorce doesn't mean that's where you hoped your life would end up. And not
Right.
having any knowledge. And I was primarily working in client service, in my 20s anyways, kind of waiting till I got a little bit older and some more experience. Plus, the industry wasn't as welcoming to women at the time. So, I definitely realized that there was a place for it. And through working with women now who have either, been widowed or gone through divorce, it's very clear that oftentimes in a household, you don't have two people involved in the finances. So unfortunately,
Yeah.
sometimes life changes and you just have someone who has no idea which way is up or down or where anything is at, or, depending on their, age or demographic, how to pay their ComEd bill online. So, I
Right.
work with all kinds of people, and having to have faced some uncertainty myself, I understand the fear and the importance. So I find it's really easy to kind of relate and empathize in that area.
Well, I think our life experiences, help define those kinds of things and our passions for sure. And, I always tell people the most important thing when you're wanting to work with a professional, sure, financial guidance, all that stuff comes with it. That's great. That's not what differentiates you got to have that right person to help you have a good conversation and help you learn. And I think that that's one of the things that I've taken away from the time that we've got to spend together is we both share that innate desire to just help people and have a good conversation about life and the things that really are important. It's assets and money and all that stuff, great. But none of that matters if you're not happy, right?
I'm with you. I think the more people, I think often people, they share their highlight reel, right? Which I get it. People go on
Yeah.
social media, they share the good stuff. But I truly believe, I know people think sweep it under the rug and keep it hush hush. You don't want to be judged. I think the more we open up, the greater impact we can have because there's somebody else out
Yeah.
there who finds it relatable or similar. So that's kind of what I'm on a
Yeah.
mission to do personally.
Well, I love that. And I think that you've got some really cool ways of sharing that message with some folks. I know you do a lot within the educational area of just helping people understand what's out there, giving people some options and giving some, some good, credible information. So talk a little bit about some of the events you host and the people that see value from it.
Yeah, the newest thing I'm doing, which I couldn't be more excited about, it's really a passion project of mine, is starting divorce workshops in our area locally.
That's awesome. So, because you've gone through, you've experienced it, there's some passion there as well. So you're starting this off now. So what are the big topics that you're going to be covering?
We talk about, I have a team, a great team of local power women. We have a lawyer, a divorce lawyer who does all kinds of, litigative law, collaborative divorce. I'll leave the styles of divorce law to her because that's not my specialty. I probably said something wrong.
Yeah.
And we have an estate planning attorney and real estate attorney and a loan officer and an incredible real estate agent. And we're going to be having hopefully a therapist or child therapist, family therapist join our team. And so we're going to be
That's
giving
amazing.
presentations on each topic.
Wow. So that's pretty, because all of these things you have to start thinking about when, those situations happen, because your whole life is kind of shifting and there's options and it's all kind of intertwined, but you got to have little things to start checking off that list. And I think that going through that experience yourself, giving people that ability to kind of line people up with that to help that progression makes a lot of sense. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of the how that goes and, the conversations that you get to have, because I think you're going to really help a lot of people.
Me too. I couldn't be more excited about it. I think it's going to have a huge impact.
Well, and I think that's most important too, is you're doing something you love and helping people at the same point in time. So I just put on my social media page just this week, and I thought this was fascinating and kind of crazy time, and just it's all relative, right? So this is going to be amazing, Jessica, and let me get your thoughts on this. Prior to 1974, women often could not open a bank account without a male cosigner. I think that is that fascinates me. That was 50 years ago. I mean, quite frankly, that's some of the people that I help today had that situation in their life. And that's kind of amazing when you think about it.
It's fascinating. It's hard to even imagine because, I'm in my
I
40s.
have a hard time imagining it. I really do. And maybe I'm naive. I don't know. But is this hard for you to imagine as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I was born in the early 80s, so, I grew up where you could open a bank account, but working with clients who lived through that, it does kind of transfer a little bit and you learn a little more about it. But because women tend to outlive men, I've heard many
Yeah.
funny philosophies as to why that is, but we could table that for
We
later.
make dumb decisions, Jessica.
I heard we wear you down, so we'll go with
Oh,
both.
nice. There you go.
Yeah.
That works too. I'd like to say that we make bad decisions and we need the women in our lives to help us mature and make better decisions. So
That's so much different than what I've been told, but that's incredible. But it's important that women need to know how to do things and to be involved. And also, there's a huge difference in who the primary earners are or joint earners
yeah,
are in a household now. That's changed. That landscape has changed substantially. So you just see a
it
lot
really
more
has.
women and men coming to the table. I just think it's important to have both people there because as much as most households have one person who does this and one who does that, maybe someone pays the bills, someone takes care of this. ultimately your finances are going to find you both later in life, and you both need to
Mhm.
have your finger on the pulse.
At least some kind of knowledge, right? And I encourage the
Yeah.
same thing. Every now and there's always somebody that leads the conversation. There's, but a lot of times in risk analysis, Jessica, this is my favorite thing to do is a risk analysis and discussion with a household. And somebody that handles the investments always has one view. And then I'm always like, so now what do you think? And I ask that other
Yeah.
individual and they're like, well, I don't agree with that at all. I'm much more conservative. It's just very fascinating, and we got to make sure that we handle both sides of that equation and both sides of that household, because ultimately we all want to be comfortable and share that knowledge.
You couldn't have said it better, because oftentimes in meetings, I think when working with a couple, it is so rare that they both feel the same way once they kind of get their risk
Yeah,
score. And oftentimes one person talks more than the other. Like I just talk all the time. My poor husband, he's a coach, he talks, but I out-talk him. So I'll often look at somebody and say, do you feel the same way? Like I want to make sure you have a chance to be heard too, because the two of us are
right.
talking so much. So it's important to check in with everybody.
Well, and if women tend to outlive men, which is just genetics and science, and some of that's just the way it is. Like I said, I don't think you guys make as many dumb decisions in life as we do. So that's part of it too. But, we also need to make sure that we have enough understanding of what's going on in our financial situations so that we have the right ducks in a row. It's part of that legacy desire, right? That legacy plan has to include where everything is. How do I make sure that these things take care of? And I think that's an important conversation that, quite frankly, is often overlooked when we don't have similar involvement. It doesn't have to be a perfect detail, but similar involvement.
Yeah, absolutely. That, and I think, financial planning is huge too, for both people
Yeah.
to take part in that. It's a great service to use. It's incredible what it can uncover, because whether your life you think it's gone perfectly or it doesn't even matter, at some point we all hit something unexpected. And and it's not even age, right? I mean, we've lost friends, that you think, gosh, that's
Yeah.
so young, you weren't expecting it. But at some point it is guaranteed that any couple is going to lose the other one, right? Or have something unexpected
Hmm.
happen. Maybe it's a parent who needed help, maybe it's a child. There's always, maybe it's a loss of job. So to make sure that you're both dialed in and working on a financial plan and checking in on it annually, to me, there's nothing more important.
And that's a conversation. See, a lot of people think about what we do as investment focused, and they go, no, you know what? This person handles the bills and the investment side of things.
Mhm.
Financial planning is typically a different conversation. It's very goal oriented. It's very specific to what's going on in life. We don't really talk about, and at least I don't. I'm love to hear your thoughts on this. I don't like to talk about investments as a financial planning conversation. It's about what we're spending our monies on, what we enjoy doing, what we're planning on vacations. How does our assets look like in funding our lifestyle for that unknown lifetime? Those are the things we focus on, which is not an investment conversation. Those things fund those goals. But really those financial planning conversations, they're not that boring investment conversation, right?
It's separate. They're two separate things.
Yeah.
There's asset management, and then there's your life plan. To me, a financial plan is a living, breathing thing that changes with you. There's nothing more
Yeah.
important. And oftentimes people will ask me, well, can't we just do it once? And all I could think of is like, if you want to get in the shape, you don't go work with a trainer once and suddenly you're fit. You don't go to the
What?
golf course, take one golf lesson and think you're going to be a scratch golfer. I mean, I constantly think that's going to happen to me, but it doesn't. So, it's an ongoing thing. The world ebbs and flows, and it's cheesy, but it's the GPS of your life. But they are two separate things
Yeah.
that go
Well, it's
together.
funny because I want that ability to just go to the gym once and be done and like have that perfect, summer beach body. And it's the time of season. We should be thinking about that, right? Or is it
Yep.
too late? It might be too late. I don't
It's
know.
year round. It's
I
year
go to the
round.
gym. So it is year round. And that's why we go to the gym year round. That's why you have to find
Yeah.
something that's fun to do that you can do on an ongoing basis, which is why I tell people we need to have more casual conversations. It doesn't always have to be about specific, investment detail. No, we need to talk about life. Keep in touch more often. If you've got a life-changing event, we need to talk, right? Because those situations change. And it just makes that conversation so much better. I love conversations about where are we going on our upcoming trip? What are we doing with our grandkids now? Right? Like those are the fun things we get to talk about too.
Yeah,
And that's what's neat about our
exactly.
industry.
I think people avoid it a little bit because of fear, and it's not
Yeah.
tied to level of wealth. I think people just think they're going to find something, or often people are trying to solve too many problems at once. And this I kind of
Hmm.
pulled back to going through, my divorce and reigniting my career was, and I tell clients is you can't meet all your financial goals at once, and that isn't a negative. You pick one. This is where we're going to focus, and then once we make small steps, we celebrate it. We go on to the next. You're not going to accomplish everything at once, and I feel that often I notice people will just think, well, gosh, I don't know what it's going to tell me, so I'm going to avoid it. Rather
Yeah,
than it's easier, the earlier you start, you can make small changes over the course of time. That's a lot easier
that's
than
right.
suddenly being ready to retire and being like, I need an extra $40,000 per year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the last time the last thing you want to do is just all of a sudden decide, oh, I'm going to retire. Time to have a financial plan. No,
Yeah.
what if you did that well in advance? Like that could be a really much more valuable conversation than all of a sudden retiring and going, well, I have this 401k and now I need to figure out how to turn it into money. Like, no, we can design a paycheck for you. That's
Right.
fine, but let's talk about this well in advance and give us some strategy behind it too. Um, but you know what? It's also never too late because sometimes people just don't think about it until it comes
Yeah.
up, right? But the best laid plans have that clear path. And hey, I think that's something there. That's a little bit of it. So Jessica's company is actually called Clear Path. And that is why it's kind of a little pun. So, and what's cool about when I'm looking at Jessica's logo right now. That's what kind of got me distracted here. When we started, Jessica and I met and we started talking, and I just kind of looked her up on LinkedIn and social media and stuff. And I'm like, hey, not only were we both powered by this great company, Fortis Capital Advisors, behind us, but we also have a very similar logo. And so I really am proud of the company design and the logo that I have. And I think you and I have talked about this a little bit too, Jessica. But what's so important about your logo? Why do you like your branding?
Because it was the path for me when we were naming, it
Yeah,
was just to me, you're looking for the clear path. We're looking to provide clear solutions for people. And I wanted the logo to represent that, because you could do a big C and something else. So
yep.
I think it's hysterical. I think we have to put our side by side and just, it's just
I
like
know.
differences in color.
It's crazy. So on
It's
the
fake.
video version of this, we're going to have them right there side by side. Our logos are it's uncanny how close
Yeah.
they are, and it's a winding path, and it's never straight. A path is never straight. It has some twists, it has some turns, it's unpredictable. But you say you want that clarity. I say I want that peace of mind, that serenity. That's why I have that Serenity Financial or Serenity Wealth Management. So ClearPath Financial, Serenity Wealth Management, both designed to try to give people that clarity and peace of mind in their financial future. It's just so funny. So I
It's
love it. I
incredible.
love it. I love it. Yeah.
And the part about the path is spot on because it isn't straight. Like nobody's life is just this, or financial piece is just this straight trajectory to the top. You have business owners, ask them how many failures
Yeah.
they've had to get where they got.
Ugh, yeah.
Nothing is a straight path in life. Life is more of, I don't even know if it's a zigzag, but it can be crazy. So I love
Sometimes you go
not having a
backwards,
straight path.
right?
I always say this. I said it. Sometimes it feels like you're going backwards, but you're really going there to really move forwards. And that's true.
Oh, I
And
love
we've
that.
all been there.
Yeah, I love that. Even your steps backwards are really just a correction to where you really need to go. I
Yeah.
think that's fantastic. So I do a lot of educational events too, Jessica. So I'll just give you a little bit. Let me know what you think about this one. I'm talking about taxes pretty heavy right now. I think it's a very common thing on people's mind these days is tax risk and what we've got going on. So I've got an event here that I've been doing. It is called Tax Freedom. We cut the cord with the IRS. And so I love this subject. It's fascinating to me. And people love to figure out ways to reduce their tax liability.
Nobody wants to pay Uncle Sam more. And at our office, we always
Yeah.
say it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And so I
Yeah.
think that sounds incredible because you can make as much money as you want, but not looking at the tax consequences or the tax setup, I mean, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. Tremendous.
It is. And it even goes to investment philosophy. I tell people, sure, we can invest in the right stuff, but you invest it in the wrong account, there's tax consequences there that you didn't necessarily have to have. So get it in the right tax diversification bucket first, and then we talk about how we fund that vehicle properly with the right investment strategy.
I love that. I think that's very needed. And I think it's something that a lot of people don't think about. And a lot of advisors don't think
Yeah,
about. I think a lot of advisors
they
don't have a
don't.
tax training. And I'm not a CPA myself. I just work. We have a tax firm here at ClearPath. So I've
Yeah.
been blessed to be brought into the tax savings focused advising business. But what you're offering it has tremendous value.
Well, and it makes sense. I mean, you can do so many things. Everyone I talk to, I asked this question of a lot of people I meet. In fact, most people I meet. Do you think taxes are going to be higher in the future or lower? Very rarely do people say, actually, I've never heard somebody say lower, never. And I've also never heard somebody say that they want to pay more to the US government over time.
Nope.
I know I don't. I assume you
Mm-mm.
don't either. I should ask you this question. I
I do
assume you do
not.
not.
I do not.
Yeah. Have you ever met a client that wants to?
No.
Yeah,
No
see? So
volunteers
we are
there.
every day. We just really got even more data to prove the point that no one wants to pay more taxes. We all want to
No.
pay our fair share, and that is something that everyone has a different definition of. And the government doesn't give the true definition of fair share ever, ever. So
No. And
have you noticed that?
absolutely. And it's definitely up to opinion at this point. I've heard many philosophies, but regardless of
Yeah.
philosophy, it's something. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but it's definitely something that you have to be looking at. You have to be working with a professional who's cognizant of it. I mean, there's three
Yeah.
things certain in life: death, taxes, and concrete cracks. That's what I've been told. I don't know why, but those are the three things, and you're not going to avoid them, but you don't want to overpay.
I had not heard the concrete cracks one too until now. That's awesome. Yeah.
Ah,
It's not wrong either. That's why I'm going with a new paver path pavers for my patio instead. That way they can be replaced, because you don't want to deal
yeah,
with the
there you
concrete
go.
cracks.
I'm
Yeah.
with you. I have some pavers myself.
And yeah, I don't think we can avoid death at this point in time either. We are living longer
Mm.
lives though, which is kind of nice.
I saw a documentary about somebody trying to live forever or live as long as possible, which was extremely fascinating. But yeah, I mean, you can't avoid it. And as much as it's scary and I don't like to think about it, I think the worst part and we see this all the time. Sometimes people aren't prepared. Sometimes we have people
Yeah,
contact us and, like I said, it's not like, oh, you know that you're going to live till 84 or 95. Some people unfortunately don't make it to 45. So, I think
right.
that making sure that your house and when I say house, I mean your total financial kit and caboodle is
Your
is
financial
in
house. Yeah.
order, having a trust if you need that, or a will, power of attorney, healthcare directive. That is something that I talk about in every client review because we've all
100%.
seen it when you're working with someone who comes to you, unfortunately something very unexpected happened to a family member, or they tabled it for too long and just never did it. And it's a mess, especially
Yep.
nowadays, online banking. It's hard for people to figure out who's doing what where.
It is. And those documents are incredibly important. It's something that you and I both share as well in the fact that we make sure that our clients have those difficult conversations. And I've never had anybody say that they want to pay more in taxes, and everyone is willing to have that conversation about how we can reduce our taxes. Most people are willing to understand that, yes, we're going to pass away, and are pretty open with a conversation about legacy and how to prevent and how to protect and all of those kinds of things. Most people are. And I think that every generation has gotten a little bit more open with that conversation. We didn't used
Yeah.
to be as open to having that conversation as we are now.
We try to make it a little funny because it's uncomfortable. So,
It is.
oftentimes, you have to laugh and kind of bring people's guard down because it is weird.
Yeah.
I filled out my own funeral, request, and I'm thinking, well, this is strange. And if somebody doesn't follow this, what am I going to do about it anyways? I'm not here. But, you know, but you have to really highlight the importance of it and help people to face that that's something
Yeah.
they need to do. And because we have great resources at Fortis Capital and great partnerships, we have good solutions for that for our clients.
We do. And the key here is to think about, for folks that are trying to delay this and not wanting to have these conversations or maybe aren't comfortable, there is a plan in place for you, whether you choose to like it or not. That plan does exist. That plan is either going to be by your design because you planned it in advance, working with the right people to plan in advance, or it's going to be a plan that somebody designs for you, whether that maybe be a child of yours, maybe that's a friend of yours. They're guessing at your best wishes, but they also don't have the right tools in place because there's going to be another person that's involved in that decision, and that's the courts or the government. And we want to alleviate that side of it by planning well in advance. That's the conversation I always have. And people are like, well, yeah, I want my plan to be my plan, right?
I'm going to bring it back to taxes. I love the point you just made because one of the points I often make, because everyone takes a different life path. There's no right or wrong. Some people get married, some people have children. It's, different things happen to different people. So, what I tell people, because sometimes people don't have beneficiaries they want to leave money to, I say, think about, good organizations and charities you want to leave it to, because if
Yeah.
you don't have this figured out just because you don't have beneficiaries, guess who it's going to? We're going back to the government and you're giving all your money to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the last thing anybody on this earth wants.
That is your default beneficiary.
Yeah, there you go. Uncle Sam,
Yeah,
always
unfortunately,
resurfacing.
that is right. Yeah, Uncle Sam is your default
Ugh.
beneficiary in this world, and they know it. The government knows that, and that's why there's always the tax codes and the tax changes that take place all the time, and we have to think about those things. That's why I want to cut the cord with them. So, all right. So, did you ever have cable TV, Jessica? Did you have the
I
cable
did.
packages where you bundled? Yeah. Remember when we had, this is why I say cut the cord with the IRS. Remember when we were told that we'd save all this money by eliminating the cable company from our bills, and we could cut the cord with the cable companies and save all this money? Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
About it didn't take more than 10 or so years for us now to be in this streaming chaos environment where all of a sudden now I feel like I'm paying a heck of a lot more than I ever was.
Uh, you know
You
what?
ever notice that?
There's nothing that makes me laugh more because I was just asking my kids. It's like we have Netflix, we have YouTube TV,
Uh-huh.
we have Disney Plus. I don't even know Amazon. I don't even know what else we have. I'm like, we were saving money a
Yeah.
long time ago. I'm not sure where we're at now.
I think it's at least even, if not worse. I don't know. It just feels
Yeah.
like a lot. Yet all these companies are going bankrupt and all this other problems too. Like it doesn't make sense to me. But somehow along the line, we got duped on that bill. So I think the same thing's the same way on 401ks and things like that. They always say, "Hey, don't worry about it. You're going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement." Most of the people I talk to don't feel like that. They just don't. And so we have to think about having those kind of conversations because maybe you are getting duped. Maybe it is time to think about a different strategy.
Yeah, I think bringing it all to the table and just taking on thing one at a time and working with an advisor and hopefully getting, both parties, if they are in a, long-term partnership or relationship, to the table is of the utmost
Yeah.
importance, really.
Communication is key. And I got to tell you, this has been an awesome conversation. Time flies when you're having fun. Thank you for calling in today. We got the baseball season soon starting. I know you're a White Sox fan. That's much better than a Cubs fan for us St. Louis folks. So I'll give you a pass on being a Chicago sports fan.
You know what?
The
It's a little
season for both of
embarrassing.
us is still starting. It's not. Hasn't started yet. We're okay. That we could be 100 wins. I don't know
We
if I
still
believe
have
that by
hope.
any of those teams. There is hope
I think
right
we
now.
still have hope
That's
right
right.
now, preseason. There's always a little hope, and then the season starts, and that's Chicago
Yeah,
across the board, sports wise. But yes, thank you so much for
we
having me
feel
on.
you.
I could talk to you forever. So thank you. It did
Absolutely.
go fast. I appreciate it.
All right, Jessica, thank you again. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bye, Chris.
All right, folks, what an enlightening conversation. We talked today about paths. Everyone's path is different. We all have a unique path that we are on. It is not a straight line. Paths meander. They go side to side. Sometimes they go a little bit of a step backwards in order to take that progression forward. That is key. So find that path, find that right path for you, whether that's clear path or whether that's a path to financial serenity. Make sure you're on a path that leads to your success. Those goals outlive you. You want to make sure that your assets, your goals, your objectives are funded the best way possible. That's what we focus on here at Serenity Wealth, and we are happy to be your guide down the path to that financial serenity you deserve as well. So tune in to us next week, and until then, check us out online, SerenityWealthNow.com. That is SerenityWealthNow.com.
This is Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Request a free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, by visiting SerenityWealthNow.com.
Serenity Now!
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.